We're at the grave of David Hazeltine Dodd. He was a brilliant genius and born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1900. His father, Walter Cedric Dodd, and his mother, Helen Chamberlain, were both graduates of Massachusetts Institute of Technology in architecture. And they decided after he was born they didn't want to live the cosmopolitan life in Boston, so they went to Vermont and bought a farm with an old chair factory building on it and turned it into a resort. And of course the resort was just like 10 weeks in Vermont. It was a season, but they had 4,500 people coming and going there that stayed at other hotels around, and they fed them, and they had all these maple syrup products that they sold them and shipped elsewhere, and this was in the early 1900s. He was home educated by his mother, and he got ready at 18 to go to Wentworth Institute to technical school. He wanted to learn how to build machines and do tool and die work, and that was the best one in the country. Well, she realized she hadn't taught him algebra, so she taught him first and second year algebra in 2 weeks. He went to Wentworth and graduated, came back, helped him on the farm. As a diversion in the late 1920s, he made a set of marionettes he called the David Dodds, and he took them to perform in Boston and the theaters. And Alice in the Looking Glass, I think, was the first play they did. And his sister played the piano as background music. And those carved marionettes are in the Sumner County Museum. Well, in 1934, he did something big. He built the first ski lift in the United States in Vermont. He also patented a ski that you could use on the water or snow. And he patented a lot of other things, we won't get into that, but his whole life was an experimentation and full of patents. Well, in 1936, his sister was going to the Boston Conservatory, and she met this young lady who was a sod widow from down south, right here, Theodore Cassidy Farrell Dodd, and they married. And they lived in Vermont until 1945, at the end of World War II. They came to Gallatin because his wife, Theodore, and her mother, who had come to live with them from Florida, wanted to be near their kinfolks. So they came to Gallatin, and he established the Gallatin Machine Shop. And for 20 years, and he helped factories like Crescent Furniture Factory with their equipment, and John Garrett at Garrett Brothers, and plus he developed some more patents. And he built what they call the Dodd extruder and sold it for a handsome amount of money. You put the wires and concrete in a machine and it came out a pre-stressed beam. After 20 years, he wanted to go to Hawaii to retire in 1965, so the first thing they did out there was make him build a car structure, parking structure. They had never done that in Hawaii before. And then when he finished that, he designed an extension of the runway of the airport in Honolulu out into the ocean. And then he had a heart attack and they came back here to live, built a house down near the lake. And then he started experimenting with solar systems. So his whole life was an experimentation of some sort. And he died in 1985 here in Gallatin.